gets the money for those for that $5 ticket?
I think they do.
Who's that?
The aisles.
The people that put it together?
Huh?
The people that,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
The ones that rented the event center.
Okay.
But we're scrubbing the floor.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Melissa, is that the agenda?
It is.
Do you have an extra
Did
copy?
you finally get all my download things?
I did, yeah.
I'm not very computer literate.
Let's see, I guess I'll sit over here since it's closer. Thank you. No, I got everything all.
Oh, like that.
Good.
Hi, how are
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am?
how are you doing?
Would you like an agenda?
And I don't want to break.
You need it today, though.
I pray constantly.
Okay.
I
probably prayed today.
brain.
I do, but it's more.
Johnny, Johnny prays good.
He, she.
What's that?
I said Johnny prays good.
Yeah.
Okay, my watch says that we're just a little bit past 6:30, so I'm going to call this meeting of Floresville Corporation to order. It is April the 8th, and we're here at City Hall. We have a quorum. We have Board Member Melissa Popham, Board Member Debbie Conley, and Board Member Paige Fuller here. Myself, Bill Gleason. We will take a moment of prayer. Our Father, we thank you for the opportunity that we have to serve the city. We thank you for the things that, the resources that you've given us, and people that you've given us to serve on this board. May you guide us and direct us in our deliberations and our planning now and in the future. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. We have the minutes. We got the Pledge of Allegiance. We can go do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I know it's so short written, but it sounds so long.
Well, they say it at school every day, and
I can't get it.
you'd think I would. We have consideration of an action to approve the minutes of the February 25th meeting. Paige was kind enough to get this put together for us.
Those are March 25th.
March 25th, I'm sorry.
But this does say February.
Oh.
I was reading it.
Should it,
It's March
it
25th.
should be March 25th.
Yes,
On the agenda, it is incorrect.
yes.
Just make it a.
I believe that was just typographical.
It definitely was.
All right, do I have a motion to approve these minutes? Okay. Motion by Conlon,
Second.
second by Pullen, to approve the minutes of March the 25th. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, I'll give this one. There's This is citizen input. Would anyone like to put any citizen input? Okay, there being no one asking to do so, we'll move on to new business. That's consideration and possible action to approve increases in the event center's rental fees and concession fees. Discussion.
I have a printout here. Bill is like a previous and a proposed, and of course, we know we have to take it to council.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna pass this out to everyone.
Thank you, dear.
This is good.
Kind of gives a before and an after.
That's very good. I could call it something.
I had help. I can't take credit for it, but I did have help.
That's great.
But it kind of gives us a breakdown on what we decided to bring before the council. One thing that I did take a look at myself was the arena, the rodeo arena. We had decided to go like a flat $250 fee, and after a little research, that's probably a little bit much. A lot of the guys want to rent it during the day and they don't use a light, so they feel like that's something that they shouldn't have to pay for. So I think we need to take a look and scale that back down, because we want to make sure that that facility is utilized and not run people off with, a price. And based on like surrounding areas or whatever, we're a little high, especially for, our type
And
of arena.
would that be including the water though, that needs to be put out there?
We decided that wasn't gonna be anything that we were gonna do.
Okay.
Being that we would have to bring a city employee in, if it's on a weekend, then that's overtime, that's an on-call person. By the time we have an employee, a truck, and the water, we've spent way more than $75. So I believe we decided not to do that. So I would like to make the recommendation that we take the arena back down to actually, we probably could just leave it to where it was, and it was pretty comfortable. The $150 for the daytime, and then we'll add the extra $50 if it's a nighttime type thing. Anyone doesn't have a problem with that. We would be a lot more in line if we did so.
So the arena's gonna be how much now?
We had proposed it to go to $250 day or night, and it was $150 during the day and $200 at night. So my suggestion is for us to go back to our original plan and leave it as it was, with no water, yes. We're leaving the water out for sure, but take the rodeo arena to the $150, and then with lights $200, which is what it was.
Okay.
Okay, I noticed also on here, our ballroom per hour has gone from, we're actually going down on that. It shows up here in the blue part, the ballroom per hour, 150, and proposed 100.
That's
No,
not
that
good.
should have been
No, we
150.
goofed, that's all.
It should
Yeah,
be the
that's
other
just
way.
a
The other way
typo.
around.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's backwards. Thanks for correcting me, Bill.
I was just noticing that.
Right.
Thank you.
My eyes are full of them.
Yeah, it's reversed. It should have been 100 previous, 150 proposed.
That's Sunday through Thursday, right? Thursday only.
And we left, room 151 as is.
No,
We
when I,
moved it up to 400.
I'm seeing per hour $40.
That's
Oh, I see.
because it
We
was, that
eliminated
was,
that.
right, that was prior to, that was the
Okay.
fees from the previous.
Okay.
The proposed, we took away the hourly rate and, took it to just that one fee of the $400.
I follow you.
and I know we decided to do that, but research from other areas, there are per hour rental fees. So I don't know if that's something that we want to reevaluate, but a lot of centers do charge by the hour. And I know in the past, this is how much it is for this day or whatever, and we've gone with that and it's worked. But like I said, after research of a few, there are per hour. So we might want to, at some point, leave, Bill, maybe make a note that just states that, you know, rooms are available, you know, at a per hour rate, you know, leave it open for discussion, you know.
Is there much per hour rate asked for, Gloria?
There's not at this time, but like I say, just everyone around us does have that available. And we don't want to scare somebody off if they only want it for 3 hours, you know. So just a comment after a little more research.
And how would we figure that per hour? Take the 300 and divide that by 8?
You know, if we just did something like set it at a $40, regardless of what room it is, if they just needed a meeting space, set it like at $40 per hour, you know, if they wanted it 3 hours or something. And again, that's just something for discussion.
If they used 8 hours prorated over $300 would be $37.50.
So $40 would be pretty,
Except, well, yeah, that would make it cheaper to rent by the day than by the hour.
yeah, it would, so that,
And that's based on premium.
yeah, that would be less, so that wouldn't work.
Well, it's not, it wouldn't make a whole lot of difference, except if I were gonna rent it and I thought I was gonna go be there most of the day, it would be. Really,
On premium, it makes it $50 per hour.
That sounds a lot more in line to me, because you have the
And
same
without
cleanup, if you're in there for 5 minutes
Yeah.
or
Right.
an hour, the same cleanup.
$50 for all of them. We're not gonna go many.
Correct.
so we'll say $50 per hour. And then see 151, we've got it set at $40 per hour.
Well, that was the
I'd say
previous.
we just leave them all at that one standard figure because,
$50 per
right,
hour.
because we moved all of the rooms. Let's see, 308 in that one. Any rental open. We left the $25 cleanup.
Under the audio visual, it's empty, the projection screen.
Right underneath it, it says like there's each set and there's 3 available.
Oh, that's
With
just,
two,
that's
yes, ma'am.
just
It's
a subtopic thing?
Yes, it
Okay.
is, yes, ma'am. So that went from 75 to 150. Cameras from 50 to 100 with the screens.
I think that's probably gonna wipe out the use of those. It would with me.
They're a great bid, and they're a lot of trouble to put up.
Again, we're gonna, we're just gonna submit this and see where it takes
Yeah,
us.
this is strictly gonna be a recommendation.
Correct. We'll take this to council and then see what council or city manager direct us from here.
Well, the direction will come from the council, always, but the issue was, if I may speak, I'm sorry. I know that y'all were the group that did the research on other facilities and stuff, so your recommendation's gonna come pretty strong. So what you give here, is gonna come with the backing that you did the research as a committee or as a group. And then the only thing that was asked was, I asked that our comptroller be involved prior to, because she recommended that this go in an ordinance form so it can be legally binding and, like all the other fees that the city has, which is something that I don't think was done prior. So we can make sure that we do that. Once you get this approved this way, we can do a presentation to the council prior and then submit it in the ordinance form for approval.
And if we find it has an adverse effect, we can always come back to the council and say we found that, this is having an adverse effect on sales and somewhere we're gonna have to lower some of these. But, we have, I keep going back to the fact that we have to make this thing more profitable.
Raise the electricity bill.
Yeah, and I realize that this is not an easy pill for us to swallow. But on the other hand, it's gonna be a more difficult pill for us to scrape up money to pay electric bills and things like that eventually.
Well, this is the time to do it if you're gonna do it.
Well,
Time is
Yes.
optimal, and so Rob and I were discussing that whatever recommendation that you make, we can put in resolution format.
Mhm.
You can attach the proposed exhibit to the resolution for the city council to review.
That's exactly how we need
Yeah.
to give our update.
Right. I have no problem with the fee schedule as we're proposing here. I do have a problem with Thursday night. I may not be back in Corpus on Thursday night.
I see you looking at me, Bill.
She's
That's
got
a-
her.
That's a wedding night, you're in.
No, I'm good.
We can either do it then, or I will be glad to do it the following meeting. It doesn't make any difference.
Are we already on the agenda?
You're on the agenda for your quarterly report. My recommendation would be if you finalize something already with the numbers, that you draft something like that and just present so they can start reviewing, and maybe they can even give you some, for your next board meeting.
I'll
say,
try to
hey,
be
we've
here
already got some
Thursday night,
suggestions.
but if you can, I won't have much time to study this. If you can present it, I'll be there. I'll try to be there.
Okay.
But I need somebody that's thoroughly familiar with what we did. And the first question they're gonna ask us is, how does this in line with other places? And of course, one of the answers to that is that what is a problem is that everybody figures their basis a little bit cheaper. Some of them say, well, this is included in this, and this, and other places it's not included. So you have to kind of weigh your answer on that, because it's not always gonna be the same.
Have you had a chance to talk to Greg Kowalski at all with the arcade group? He lives here in Floresville. He's the main catering contractor, food
Yeah.
storage contractor,
Yeah.
and he's happy to give you any input. And if you have any questions, we can get him on a teleconference, or just something to throw out there in case you're interested in picking his brain.
Yeah, he's the one that bought the old Colony Ranch.
Yeah,
And,
and does a lot of, events at different event centers.
Is that Rosemary's son?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of.
She was the first caterer in San Antonio. They had her on the radio the other day, a couple weeks ago, months ago. She's great.
Amazing, yeah.
Okay,
We can put this together somewhat like Andy suggested, and on Thursday, tell them this is what we're working on, here's something, for you to look at, and we wanna bring it back to like the May meeting or something of that nature for,
is that gonna be a wise thing to do? I was thinking about that myself, give them something to look at and kind of digest, and then come back the next meeting and say,
Yeah, that's always, from what I learned on the city council, they'd rather have it and study it and then,
Yeah, I think that's a
they
wise
may even
thing
give
for
some
them to
input
do.
to the board at the next board meeting and say, okay.
This is our suggestion, what is yours?
Sure.
And go from there, and tell them we're open negotiation.
But you've done your due diligence on the work you've done, evaluated, and you had started this years ago as
Yeah.
far as running around to the other centers trying to see what is going on price-wise.
Okay, I guess would anybody like to make a motion to turn this into a resolution to give the council?
there's a couple of other things that, I would like to add, if I
Okay.
may. So, we talked about the nonprofits.
Mhm.
And we kind of just left that open. As of right now, they get a 30% discount
Mhm.
on the facility rates. And I went ahead and put that at the bottom of this, leaving it open. And after reviewing, again, other areas, it's anywhere from a 10 to 20% discount that nonprofits receive. I left that there, and
I thought we had talked about, I didn't have it in my notes, but I thought we had talked about 20%.
We did,
To
we
20%.
discussed that.
I didn't
And,
have
but we
that
left,
written
we
down
left
yet.
it open
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
we weren't sure, that was just something that was thrown out
Okay.
into the discussion.
so is that what you're recommending? That we change it to 20?
I think so. That would be my opinion.
Like I said, I looked and I was seeing, from 10%, 15%, and just depended on where and what, so.
So 20% is still pretty generous as far as comparing ourselves to others.
So you want me to change that to 20%?
It's fine with me.
And then we'll take it.
Like I said, we did the 30% because we didn't know,
Mhm.
we were shooting in the dark at it.
Let's start somewhere.
Also, we need, to make note or just make it be known that, the event center may be used for like city official,
Well, now that's something I wanted to talk about a minute.
okay?
If we, other city entities or groups, and I'm considering, fire, EMS, police department and things, I don't know, things that are connected with the city, I would be glad to let the fire department use it, because they provide a service for us and they don't get absolutely nothing. EMS is the same way. But I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that. I guess I come at it from the standpoint of being in EMS so many years, I've been involved in that, knowing how hard the money was to come up with something like that. But I don't think EMS has ever used it.
So I was gonna say.
Fire department
Which I
does
need.
once a year.
Or I was going with it was like city type, city meetings,
Mhm.
city luncheons or, staff type.
Yeah,
That kind of a thing is what I meant.
I wouldn't see charging ourselves.
That's
for
why
it.
I'm saying, and it's actually on, most of the, other event centers, there's a clause that
Mhm.
states that anything to do with a city, anything the city holds, with, the city staff, the city meetings or anything of that nature. there's no fee for
Okay,
that.
what about your fire and EMS? And then you get into the thing about, what if the light company decides they're gonna have their training?
They provide something, we've gotta stick to that fee schedule, is what we have to stick to, because if you give something here, you're gonna be expected to give it there, and that's what we're trying to eliminate. It's my opinion, I'm a very big supporter of the fire department, the wild game dinner. I help tremendously. Anything I could do for them, I would, but again, we come back to what our center needs.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a hard time making a definition of,
Yes.
well, you know, fire department is fire department, but then the city owns Phelps. And so why are we giving them a discount for a city-owned utility?
We're looking at you, Mr. Yellow.
What is the city manager's viewpoint?
My recommendation is that we would just stick with the 4A board and the city itself. You know, and when we talk about, utilization of the center, it would be for any, like the police department training or the city waterworks, people having a training, and we're not talking about the entire ballroom for a fundraiser to bring in more money. That would have to be a limitation, even if it were the city said we're gonna, our Parks Foundation is gonna raise money for this. Well, if it's gonna be a benefit, I think that the center needs to recoup their expenses.
What do we do in the case of district attorney and sheriff's department and stuff like that?
That's gonna be an
We
issue.
we have training, going in that, the police departments get together and have training there and things like that. I guess if our department sponsored it, or were the sponsoring agency,
Yes.
that would be one thing.
I got a list of a few things that do go on that's been called in the past, which was set before our time or whatever, you know, community service type things, DA training and board meetings, county extension office, the wildlife has meetings, DPS has training, our local police department, which of course, that's within ourselves, so that definitely falls amongst the city. There's a couple of things there. A couple of church organizations have meetings there. The Girl Scouts, of course, they've already got a contract with us, but they have different types of meetings. So we do have a few that, as of now, utilize the area with no funds.
Should we just include, what if we said governmental agencies? Local governmental agencies, like the sheriff's department, that would include the sheriff's department and police department, or well, police department's already in there anyway, but district attorney's office.
And again, I think if you stipulate for training purposes, that would be one thing. If it's, again, if it's,
Profit.
you know,
Yeah.
for
Not for profit, training by governmental, local government, and then you're gonna have to wonder about extension agents and stuff like that, but.
And they use it now. But again, just like you said, if DPS is there doing a training,
Yeah, I have no problem with DPS, I have no problem with really the extension agents having a meeting out there. I'm thinking in terms of extension agent, you know, they have those beef cattle seminars and things like that. Now, they may have that at the show barn, I don't know. But, those things are pretty important and there's no money to.
I think if we word it, like you said, you know, something like that with no profit, you know, not something that's a fundraiser
I
or
don't mind doing that.
money's being made,
We can do
then we
that.
can make an exception as far as that goes. If somebody's going in there to make money, then that turns it all around.
Yeah. Now, how we word that's gonna be critical.
if you can help us get that wording correct.
Yeah, I have some draft language here, and we could always have like little bullet points to include, certain things, but right now, local governmental agencies to use the event center free of charge for nonprofit events and training purposes. That's just a starting point.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
we'll
I
revise
just
it.
wanna make sure we don't leave those people behind,
Mhm.
because I know that, if, I'm using the extension agency, but they come and do things, training for agents, and they have things, seminars for farmers on, the drought and how to beef cattle management, stuff like that. And there is no money to buy, pay for a place for that.
Right, and we could even include, to be considered on a case-by-case basis or something like that, so that people don't just automatically think they're entitled to it and then they get upset if they don't.
Kind of like,
Can we put it with board approval?
with, yeah.
Board approval,
Yeah.
case by case, and it'll give,
Yeah,
Then it makes them stop and think about it at least.
right. And then you might want to consider like a little, might consider something like criteria or something that we have to show. Just qualify or something.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's all that I have.
Okay. Then I'll go back and ask for, someone like to move that we develop a resolution based on this criteria and send it to council. Okay. All those in favor? Okay. There's no one's opposed. And could you and Rob kind of get together and develop this into a resolution so that we can?
Definitely, we'll have that ready for you by tomorrow.
Okay.
That we will have it on Thursday to,
To present to council.
And if nothing else, present it to them and say, look this over, we'll be back next.
not only do we have to have, this, like a resolution for this, but we have to have an update based on what our meetings have entailed from January to the present, so, I'll need some input from you on how you want that written up, or, because that's what they're asking as far as what I understand, is they want to know.
An update where
Right,
what
an
we're
update
doing.
for this quarter on what we've done in our meetings.
And I think the easiest way to sum that up is to say that we are involved in the initial stages of transition. This is the first stage, this is the first thing that we could do in the transitional phase of moving the control of the event center. And I think that's a good way of setting that up, because this is something that had to be done, and it also is something that had to take place before we could really move any further. And I think this is where our focus has been most of our meetings since then.
I have a question. And you probably want to, maybe you can answer it.
yes, ma'am.
The financials for January, February, March, and whatever we've done this year, can we see those?
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. Laura Fagan would like, Bill, to be placed on every agenda that you got,
Okay.
with a heads up on, a week in advance, so she can bring all the financials that she's got, because she's doing it for the council and the 4As.
I'd like to compare them
Sure.
last year and to see what we're doing. And
Okay, And we can do that as long as we put her on the agenda, she'll be more than happy to bring that,
Okay.
and she'd like to be on the
Well,
next
no.
one.
Then I'll just do it that way instead of
She
irritating.
sends like her week's notice, which, yes.
Okay.
So do we need to put that on the agenda every time?
Yeah, if you can, and that's what you want, anytime you want a financial, or she knows ahead of time that we post,
Well, we always want to find
Sure.
great financials.
well, we can do that, and we can get in the habit of, because we were
We'll
looking
just
at.
put that on
too.
the regular boilerplate part of our,
Yeah, we were looking at the cycle of the city councils, and every second city council meeting of the month, we're required to do a financial for the council. So the next month, at your meeting, we can come with that information and go through the whole detail, because she's gonna do a investment report for this coming deal, and it has 4A stuff on it.
okay.
Thank you for reminding me of that, I was supposed to bring that to you.
All right, now, we have the next thing on the agenda, if I can find the agenda.
I wanted to ask a quick question on Rob's behalf. I know that we have received some financial information, and Deborah did a great job of getting all that together. Is there anything that the board feels needs to be requested after receiving that information that's outstanding?
I haven't had time to look at it.
Okay.
I mean, I looked at it and then,
I
was
think
so busy that.
my thoughts are, let's see what Laura provides us at the meeting, or before the meeting.
Mhm.
And if we need something beyond that, then we can request that at that time. I think that now that we're getting a flow of that stuff coming, and Laura will kind of give us, pretty much what we asked for, I think.
Right.
But we need to see what she's giving. If there's anything that we have left out, then we can go with that.
Well, one thing that was left out was, I had asked Laura and that there was, is the city, other departments helping with, to float the civic center? And, I have not heard that. And I know there is.
We can research that. I'm gonna move on to, the next item is the discussion of the status of the engineering study. Did Rob, he was gonna talk to them, I think Wednesday or Thursday night, I think it was.
Yeah, from what I understand, the litigation attorney will have information to provide to the board, to provide the status report in May.
Okay.
And that's why Rob's not here today. He really didn't have anything to report, but
Right.
he'll be here in May with the litigation attorneys to provide a report in
Okay.
executive session.
All right. When I talked to him on Thursday, I think it was Thursday of last week, he was saying he was going to meet with them, but he didn't know where they were in their study that day. And then I found out that they're going to be out there again tomorrow, so I figured that they would complete with that.
Yeah, they'll definitely be ready in May.
Okay.
So we'll put an executive session item on the agenda.
Okay. Item number 8 is something that came up this week, or in the last week, and someone made us a proposal we need to look at just a little bit. This is money, I assume, that's coming from a private source, not involving city money. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is a gentleman who himself is looking at trying to do some sort of a proposal with the city, the 4A, to build what he's gonna call baseball country if everything works out for him. He's looking at wanting to work out something to build a complex on the 4A property. Try to do like a long-term lease with us, and I don't know the details, there's just a very quick briefing. He brought this to me. This gives you a rundown on what he's looking at, like 5 baseball fields, bathroom facility, remodeling the building that's there to make it into a concessions, a playground, that kind of a thing. And my understanding is he's looking at or talking about the property at the very back where the arena is and all of that. That's what he's looking at. if this is something that the 4A wants to hear a proposal on. He's meeting with some more of his people the end of this month, and then he would like to come and give an actual presentation on exactly what he's doing. This is like tournament baseball is what it is. It's not Little League or anything like that. This is more of, it's kids, but it's like the big league, not Little League. There they go.
And he's gonna build it with his money?
He's using his funds.
And he just wants the
He
property?
needs to lease, he wants a long-term lease on the property. Yes, it would be, my understanding was it's no money whatsoever from,
And he'll do all the upkeep and all that sort of thing to it?
that's my understanding, yes.
I would certainly want to make sure that he had the financial stability to finish this and sustain it. I think that that's going to be something.
Who is this man? Fidel?
It,
He
Former
is,
San Antonio police officer.
yes, he used to be on our Parks Foundation years ago, and he had this idea back then. He is back, and he is willing to invest all the money he's got to make this happen. So he's got a passion for that, so. He wanted to give you that proposal or just that information, that piece of information, and then come back if you showed interest, then he would actually come back with his whole plan.
I guess I have a couple of concerns. If he's talking about 5 baseball fields, that is going to be, that's gonna take up most of that area back there. And what are other organizations like the football, or Wildcats, talking about that, soccer, you're talking about a lot of things that might like to have a shot at putting a field back there. And I'm concerned that we're getting something that, you know, you're only talking about being used so many months of the year. And other people might like to use it other times of the year. I don't know. We don't have a lot of fields. I mean, every time I turn around, we're needing more fields somewhere. And I'm interested in hearing what the man has to say.
I agree.
like, just like Andy said, he's very passionate about it, and I don't think that it's just, these people are like diehard. When they're not playing full league baseball, they've got clinics going on and pitching. I mean, from just visiting with him and talking, they live this. This is what they do. They go all over and play like this. So I don't think it's just like a seasonal type. With the money that he's looking at investing, it's not like that.
He's gonna have to have something going on every weekend.
And so he would keep the money that would be coming in for,
Basically, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, if you heard different, he would want to lease the property.
Just lease the property, everything, all the money and all that would be coming to him. He would lease the property from us.
A monthly.
But of course, mind you,
Income.
we're
so
not,
the income would go to him.
But he would pay us.
The
monthly-
lease.
a monthly
on the property. But mind you, you're not spending a dime on anything that's
Right.
there, so.
So he would put all the electricity and water and.
Correct. He would build
That's
a park.
insane.
How does that work if it's just a lease and he's putting permanent fixtures on it?
You're gonna have to figure out what's gonna happen if he goes under.
Well, exactly, yeah.
He can't afford to maintain it. If 5 years from now, and what, if he's a retired policeman, how old is he? You know, what's the continuation plan for this thing? You know, if he dies and his wife says, I'm not interested in baseball,
We've got this, but,
and then we have to take care of it.
right, I think it's worth listening to.
I wanna listen
and
to him, I just
asking
wanna know
the
some
questions
answers to
and-
those,
right,
to those.
Himself, along with the CPA, I believe he said he's meeting with this week, at the end of this
Okay.
month, I believe is what he told me. They would be more than happy to come back, and those questions they can answer. I didn't get, you know, that detailed, he
Yeah.
just kind of.
Those are just the things that pop up in my mind,
Right.
you know, and
It obviously works in other places, and he just, you know, sees the need here.
And Rob and I, if you want to, we can definitely create a whole list of questions that we normally deal with on these type of issues with other cities.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different factors that are involved, yeah.
That we
If
don't
you
even
want.
know it's about, you know, to ask, yeah.
I can just see us all of a sudden owning a baseball.
Yeah.
Gloria, you know anything about baseball?
They'll not live with
I
baseball.
know.
Batter up.
But like, I think that
We need to listen to it,
We hear
yes.
them out.
I'm all in favor of listening to it. So if you see him again, any of you, tell him we will be glad to put it on the agenda.
Well-
Just tell us when he's
He
available.
would like to be on our May agenda, so if we
May
can
agenda.
set our
We've
May,
got the engineers and him on the May.
and the comptroller,
On the
Laura, for
comptroller.
sure,
Okay.
on the agenda for our May meeting.
Okay, it's interesting. I believe that's all we have on our agenda for this evening. And, anyone have anything else that falls under the agenda for this evening?
What's our next meeting?
Well, we have, our regular meeting is, I think, set for the third Monday, which this is the second Monday.
Only the second, right?
Yeah, this is the second.
This is the second Monday.
The 13th or the 20th.
I'm just trying to do this through here and see. Third Monday would be the 15th. The 22nd.
In May, the third Monday is gonna be the 20th, isn't it?
I was thinking about after the council meeting, we may need to come back and look at some of these, depending what, but we're gonna give them some time to look at it.
Well, all we're gonna do is present
Present
this
it.
to them on Thursday,
Okay.
and then give them time to look at it, and then,
When would the next council meeting be? Sorry about that.
I was like, okay, we already did the pledge of allegiance.
Yeah.
the next council meeting is the 25th,
Okay.
April 11th, which is this week, and then the 25th.
Would we,
Because we'll have to come back and
Yeah,
we'll have to physically present
would
it.
we like to meet on May the 29th, April the 29th? To revisit what the council suggests? In other words, we're gonna be making this resolution on the 11th, and their next meeting's gonna be on the
25th.
25th, and then, do we need to come back on the 29th?
But, okay, on the 11th, all we're gonna do is
know.
present this. So the 25th, you're
What I'm
actually gonna go
saying-
before them?
Yeah, what I would say is, that would be a time they've had time to look over, and that was when we would actually present, ask them to vote on it.
At the
On the
25th.
25th.
On the 25th. And if they have any recommendations, then they can come back to us and say, well, we don't wanna do this yet, we wanna make this change and this change and this change.
And that would be at the
20
April 25th meeting.
Meeting.
Correct.
And then we would come back on the 29th to consider those changes.
Lori, how far are we booked out that, before this would start the fees would start increasing?
I'd really have to look at the book.
Like
right
months
now.
or weeks?
She's
Probably
got stuff
about
on
a year.
policy.
Yeah.
So we couldn't even, this wouldn't even go into effect until.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of them for 2014 already.
Yeah, but anything new, whenever we put it in the plan, that she would book going
Right,
forward.
exactly.
Then
Exactly.
it would be, I mean, even if she had.
Yeah,
other
anything
things
she
for this
booked.
year, Yeah.
You know, would fall into this new plan.
Right. I just wanted to know how long we, well, until we could put it into motion.
Well, I'm just thinking if we met on the 29th, then we could consider any changes the council needs to make. One of us,
Stay on the 25th, meet again on 4/29.
That's our next meeting.
Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
Good?
That gives them 2 weeks to look at what
2
we're getting a
weeks, and
resolution on.
Then they can come back and suggest, well, we think you're going up too much on this or whatever, then we can come back and make another stab at it. Or correct anything that they feel like needs to be corrected.
Okay.
Because I don't want to wait too much longer on this thing, get it out of the way. I want to flush it on through if we can. If they come back and say everything's fine, we can still meet on the 29th and start on the next phase.
Question real quick for the attorneys on this, maybe Rob can answer it. If the board present this, the council approves it, we understand the fees of the building, but the beverages and
The
everything else,
concessions.
that can start automatically,
What do you mean start automatically?
In other words,
once it's approved.
the building, we can't go up on the building with people who have already rented.
Right.
And that's gonna have to be done on her next book, the next, you know, bookings taking place after this date.
Right.
And so, but concessions
Can start
We
automatically.
can change.
can
that.
change more quickly than that, couldn't they?
I don't know how your agreements are written up with that, but if you want, I can have Rob look at it and see, I can look at it too.
Yeah, we need to look at that because you know, if
It
we
just
can
depends.
raise our,